Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse from 2019. I mean, it pretty accurately predicts the pandemic that came the year after it came out. During COVID, we all lived an isolated lifestyle for part of a year, maybe a year or longer, and we dealt with people if you lived in a family or friend scenario, roommate scenario. And my goodness, this movie is about a very bad roommate or roommate that you don't like. The Willem Dafoe character, who contrasts nicely with the Robert Pattinson character, who we follow along with and perhaps side with, or the movie shows his point of view throughout the whole movie. These two show up at an island early in the movie to take care of a lighthouse for several weeks, and their duty is just to do the basic duties of caretaking of a lighthouse. No big deal. This is a practical problem. 19th century, 20th century, people do this all the time. But this is Robert Eggers, and this is going to be mysterious psychological horror. And of course, there's been a lot of videos, dozens and dozens, that try to analyze this movie's symbolisms, its hidden deep meanings. Well, this movie is definitely literary. It's elusive with an A and elusive with an I. So you can do whatever you want with the symbolism, I suppose. But to me, there's some very practical, basic things that can hook almost any viewer, particularly young viewers. And so I think the movie does very well in focusing on those, and I think that's part of the reason why it's a great movie, or a lot of people have loved it. First of all, it's got a whiplash-like element. I'm referring to the movie, where there's sort of a master-servant, master-slave relationship. The Defoe character is in charge. He's allowed to go up into the lighthouse, the lantern itself, whereas the Pattinson character is not allowed up there. And so he's bossed around according to regulations. The Pattinson character has to do basic grubby duties. He does not like to do this. He's got a sordid past. He's isolated. He's without friends. There's no females around. All he's got is this older, annoying character who farts a lot in cramped quarters. Therefore, to me, this is like a bad roommate movie. A very good bad roommate movie. A very good annoying boss movie. And I would say that the Defoe character, contrasted with the Pattinson character, again, master servant, boss employee. He's sort of like a priest to an outsider. He's allowed to go up into the Holy of Holies, whatever's in this lantern area. The viewer's allowed up there, but the Pattinson character's not. He wants to go up in there and see what's going on. And is this just kind of glory? Is this some kind of transformative light-like space? I have no idea. That's where the symbolism comes into the movie. And then I think you can map on a very basic American cultural phenomenon to this. Boomers, millennials, boomers, Gen X, boomers, Gen Z, whoever the younger character is here, subservient to the boomer who says, do your duty, very annoying, an expert in what he's doing, maybe going to be retiring soon, lords it over the young kid, is kind of goofy and fun in a funny way, and all those sorts of things annoy the Pattinson character. Therefore, this character increasingly goes crazier and crazier, perhaps not. And is it all in his head? Is it a delusion? I think what happens in this movie is the world becomes more and more enchanted in a dark, perhaps demonic way. The sea turns into a place where mermaids and dark, sick mermaids exist. The gulls are said to be, well, they're annoying to him, and they harass him. What are they, just birds? Or do they actually have the souls of dead sailors on them? And so with this isolation and annoying roommate, the Pattinson character goes, well, crazier and crazier. And this movie gets more drunker and degenerate as it goes. Along with that, he's looking for a way out and escape, maybe to escape the island, or maybe salvation. It's said that the lantern can provide, and this is a myth, as with sailors, as with isolated tall tale like guys doing things in a remote place in the 19th century, the lighthouse itself, the upper parts of the lighthouse itself, give you salvation or offer that to you.
He believed that there was some enchantment in the light. He notioned that St. Elmo had cast the very fire into it.
So in part, this is a movie about the annoyances of doing labor as an underling. In part, this is about having a terrible, annoying roommate. In part, this is about being let out of a place of salvation, whether that's psychoanalytic enlightenment, whether that's some kind of philosophical transformation, whether that's some kind of religious salvation. I think a lot of things, and that's the elusive with an A part of this movie. A lot of different subject matters you can map onto this movie very well, even though it can be very relatable for audiences. Now, that's the story and thematic elements, but I love the aesthetics of this movie. Eggers is a master shot maker. This 4:3 ratio enhances the cramped space and the feeling of being in tight quarters of these characters. It's black and white cinematography, making it look classical, or classic, and older, like this is a 19th century sea tale. It's haunted as well, and with this mysterious black and white, and the variety of shots here, especially shots that are sometimes, occasionally, very well done in your face, but also these shots that are artistic with a haunted beauty come up all over the movie in succession. I don't think there's a wasted shot in this movie. And this movie has homages to a number of great filmmakers, including Stanley Kubrick, but what I love about this movie is it's not obviously calling back to Kubrick. There's so many filmmakers today doing this, where they basically literally quote shots from Kubrick. Here, this is sort of a remaking or a twisting of some Kubrickian elements, including the ending, which is like the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey. But if you weren't thinking about that, you wouldn't have to care or notice it. You could enjoy this movie for what it actually is without thinking about its references, which are never really too overt or explicit. But the aesthetics of the visuals combined with what I think is a fantastic soundscape. I love listening to this movie. I recommend turning your volume up as loudly as you possibly can and watching this on a giant screen, because this is one of the rare movies in modern times where I am kind of blown away by the soundscape, including the opening, which there's an opening note of a horn, alarm, something like that. Wow, this thing is overpowering, and it sounds like a work alarm. It sounds like a Viking horn, a bunch of different things combined in this sound that's going to repeat, especially more towards the end of the movie. As things get annoying and crazier and more degenerate, you're going to hear this horn a lot more. That's not the only fantastic sound effect in this movie. It sounds to me like one of those great late 60s, early 70s horror films. Again, Kubrick, some Japanese horror movies like Kwaidan. I think that is alluded to here in this movie. Wonderful soundscape in that. And here it's this haunted, dark atmosphere. Some of it, the way you could take the soundscape is it's in the character's head, it's their psychology, their relationship to the world, especially the Pattinson character, his perception, or it's something he actually hears on the outside, and it's hard to tell. It could be both. Therefore, there's some Hitchcockian elements coming up here with the birds flying into his face and annoying him, with the horror elements of the man who's in a tight space, going crazier and crazier, getting more and more delusional as this movie goes along. I think in the end, this movie is partly, there's like a thousand things this movie is about. It's about the re-enchantment of the world that seems to be ordinary and natural to the main character, the Pattinson character, maybe to the Defoe character too, that becomes more and more enchanted. Thus it becomes more and more haunted. Thus he becomes seemingly more and more crazy, but also more and more imaginative in his dreamscape, and then the way that the Lighthouse scenario itself is portrayed to him. So the re-enchantment of the world, and I think this movie wants that. I think a lot of Eggers' materials like The Witch and The Northman, and we'll see about Nosferatu, which is coming out in a week from now, are doing this sort of thing where there's some dark, dark enchantment to a world you think is natural, but has some deep, dark secrets to it. But they're also forbidden and disturbing in many, many ways, which the aesthetics, I think, show both orally and visually. But if I wrap this up, this is a movie about having an annoying older roommate and having to live with this person. The Willem Dafoe is so good in this movie. If you go watch him in this movie and The Florida Project, which came out around about this time, you see this wide range of his diversity as an old age actor, which I think he's been among the best in recent years, and doing a lot of great roles and spicing up all the movies he's been in. And Pattinson himself, to me, is a movie star. Great mustache, great looks. He understands every scene and how to sort of be baffling yet relatable. And I just love these two guys. And this movie is not, it could have been a play. There's a very small set or landscape here. It could have looked and felt like a play, but Eggers has turned this into a movie and turned literature, I think he's a reader, into a movie, which makes this movie eminently rewatchable. The mysteries of this whole scenario and the different realms of reality you can map onto it, psychology, religion, philosophy, economics, you name it, you can probably map it onto this movie. And this movie is going to be watched and studied and enjoyed, I think, for a very long time. Now, what do you think about The Lighthouse? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Have a great day.